This is my little book of various stitcheries that I've collected over the years. Things that I've made and maybe a sampler or just a random embroidery. And I put them all together in this book. Quite thick. So this is the outside with a little bit of marker and then some embroidery. And then the rest of the cover is just random bits of fabric that I just quickly zigzagged together. And some buttons to hold it all together. Right, so this is just a random sort of slow stitching piece that I made. Some patchwork and some hexagons. And not even finished embroidery. I guess I got tired of it. And this is from when I had a Gokko printer. It's a Japanese mini screen printing thing. I haven't got the website anymore, but I thought it would be a shame to just throw them out, and I like all the different colors, so I kept them. And this is a stitch sampler I made of just various stitches I thought I might use in the book I wrote called Thread Doodling. I think I did use most of them. And this is also for stitch doodling. Samplers of some blackwork patterns. And this is just a random needle turn applique thing I did with a bit of extra stitching around it. And these two, just raw edge applique, some sort of color wheels, 6 colors and 12 colors. I think that's some of the leftovers from the previous one, just some random shapes. And some cross stitch writing. And some screen printing with stitching on top. And this, I tried some ribbon embroidery, but this is not the correct type of ribbon, so it's quite chunky. But I quite like the effect of it anyway. It's just really difficult to stitch with this type of ribbon. If you can hear a weird noise in the background, it's Blake the dog. He's trying to nest in his bed right next to me. Right, and here's a small mandala, I don't know, stitch sampler thing. I made this many years ago, I can tell by the fabric. Some of these pieces in here are really old. And this is another sampler. And some more cross-stitch writing. This is from some spam email I've got at some point. I never did claim the undeliverable pleasure. And some more just random embroidery. And trying some cathedral window technique. Lots of different colors. And these are more slow stitching pieces, just adding random bits of fabric and some lace or whatever, some hexagons and then some embroidery on top. And some random stitching here. This is on some quite coarse linen. I quite like the effect of the stitching on this fabric. And here I just added some random stitches around the printed design on the fabric. and some brooches that never got any further than this stage. And I think some of these are from tutorials I did for my blog, and some giant black work on some fabric with a bit of batting behind it, so that it gets this very textured feel. And then we have some more cross stitch. And again, some random slow stitching, just using up random bits and pieces. And a random flower. Another sampler of stitches, trying to combine various different ones, see what effect they would have. And more slow stitching, more hexagons and some raw edge applique. And this is another tester for the thread doodling book of a map that's drawn, and then you fill in the various shapes and the streets. And more slow stitching, sort of mixed media thing. Some pearls, sequins, and a bit of shisha over here, and some writing as well. More slow stitching. And then we have just a load of random cross stitches that quite obviously were left in the hoop for quite a long time, because you can see the mark from the hoop. And here's little Blake. It's done on machine freehand embroidery. And more slow stitching with a stamped quote. And this is a collage type landscape. Some leaves and some various bits I cut out to make the landscape, and got clouds made of quilt batting. And I'm not even sure what this is, but I like the colours on the background fabric. And again, some random stitch samplers. Again, maybe for the blog. I honestly can't remember. And some raw edge applique. I guess it's sort of a landscape abstract thing. And trying some reverse applique with different layered colours. And some Christmas ornament embroideries on linen. And these two, I don't know if you can see that, but they are actually pearl cotton. Usually I use the stranded cotton like here, but these two were samples or suggestions for some patterns I did for DMC many years ago. And this is some more giant black work, this time without the batting. And we have some black work but in magenta on black fabric, and more screen print with stitching. And here's more giant black work, again with a padded layer and in two different colors. And a random patchwork thing. I have no idea what I was doing with that. And this is another, I guess I made a bit of a cathedral window, never finished it, and then turned it into this patchworky thing. And some more random slow stitching, again with some beads on it, and this, I don't know, tucking of the fabric, or I don't even know, fold it over or whatever. And here's some woven strips of fabric stitched down onto the fabric base. And more slow stitching, just some random bits of patchwork leftovers, and some bits of embroidery attached as well. And a raw edge applique picture of a sketch I made of some nail polish bottles, and then I just turned it into this patchwork thing. More screen printing with stitching. And this I think it's reverse applique, and then with some extra stitching and some embroidered flowers.